San Diego 6 presents San Diego's Endless Summer, a sweet spot for surfing legends. What makes this break one of the best? And she makes the cut, the global success of an athlete who's not even in high school yet. Also, the popularity of paddleboarding, how it's become one of the fastest growing water sports in the world. Plus, diving discoveries, the latest scuba technology, uncovering what's lurking in our waters. And acrobats take flight, how paragliders are soaring to new levels.
Hi, I'm Netta Irampour here at one of San Diego's best assets, the beach. This beach in particular boasts some of the best views. You have these multi-million-dollar mansions right off the cliff, but what makes Wind & Sea even more special is it's rich in history. The shack was put up in 1946. It's been rebuilt a few times by locals, but yes, it's still here going strong. And if you look out just yards out into the water, you never know what big-name surfers you might catch.
Where the elite go to train.
We take advantage of where we live.
A playground for athletes, but this break demands their respect.
The reef and the rocks add a technical factor. There's not a lot of area or room for error.
Waves at Wind & Sea race into the reef, crashing at angles unlike any other San Diego surf spot.
This is the best wave ever.
Go fast, turn hard.
A challenge pros crave.
Just naturally took to surfing.
John Maher catching waves in global competitions until he was in his late teens. Now he gets paid to surf, selling his photos at galleries and writing for magazines and for his now popular Hungry Walrus website.
It's amazing. I feel so lucky and fortunate.
Like many of the greats, his career started here. Maher following in the risk-taking footsteps of surfing legends like Butch Van Arnstalant of the 50s, David Eggers, who won practically every contest in the 80s, and Richard Kenvin of the 90s. Former world runner-up and pipe master of the year 2000, Rob Machado, and now the latest fearless ones, Lucas Dirksey and Jake Halstead, the 2013 Association of Surfing Professionals Junior Series champion.
Not only do you have to be an advanced surfer to be out here, but there is certain Wind & Sea etiquette. They actually have a lineup going on where they're taking turns catching each wave.
Don't get in the way. That's really important, you know. It's like if you're on the shoulder trying to drop in on something, you don't do that. If someone's on a wave, you respect them.
I'm still younger, but I mean, I get more waves than some of the little kids.
Outsiders not always welcome to this location marked by the Surf Shack, built in 1946, now a historic landmark.
I actually didn't surf here for a year because I was super intimidated.
Wind & Sea surfers notorious for being territorial. The culture caught a bad rap in the late 60s with the book The Pump House Gang by Tom Wolfe, describing the local lifestyle as surfers pulling drug-induced ragers and scaring away tourists. These days, tourists are welcome to watch and perhaps show some respect to the moves on the water.
I've surfed, 3 times a day if possible.
You don't know what else you do if you didn't do it.
I'll always surf till I can't surf anymore.
So when you have these pro surfers, some of the best surfers in San Diego, why are there lifeguards watching over them? There's always going to be someone out here in the summertime. We have Sergeant Marcus Schreiber with the San Diego Lifeguards here to explain why it's important to guard this area.
Well, it's important on a couple of different levels. We do have a big surf crowd out here pretty much on a regular basis. It almost always seems like there's waves at Wind & Sea. Some of these swimmers out here get in trouble with the rip currents, but also get injured because of the heavy shore break that we have here.
And we've been talking about this being the surfing sweet spot. What's so sweet about the way this breaks?
Well, first of all, when you look at it, it just looks exotic. This looks like a tropical paradise out here. And the wave is one wave that breaks over a rock reef, and it's a beautiful wave when it really, really is working.
So being a beginner, I probably don't need to jump in that water.
This wouldn't be the place that you want to start surfing. This is the place to watch and really get an idea of what surfing out at this break is all about. You want to practice, surfing etiquette out here. It's almost a lost art in the surfing world.
Right.
But also just, make sure that you're safe and go to a beach that's more user-friendly for beginners.
Okay, and when it looks like this, it's not hard to just sit back and watch. We'll leave it all to the pros.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Up next, making it big in the surfing world isn't just for grown-ups.
They chose me out of everybody in the USA.
A local teen is making waves with her moves on the water, and she's still in middle school. We'll meet Tiari Thompson in a couple minutes. Plus, do you know what's lurking in our waters? The latest in diving technology and what it allows you to see way down below. And what about up in the sky?
It's like you're flying around on a big swing set.
A look at the history behind taking flight at Torrey Pines Glider Port and why a few flyers are actually flipping.
You may think it'll take years and years to be able to surf waves like this. For one girl, she's been doing it for more than a decade, and now, several awards later, Tiare Thompson is being recognized by the country and eventually the world.
Among this sea of pros at Windansea Beach, you'll find a standout teenager. Tiare Thompson is considered one of the top 4 best U.S. surfers under 16.
They looked at all the contests, how I did over the years, and they chose me out of everybody in the USA.
This 13-year-old just got signed onto Team USA. 4 young surfers will be prepping for the Olympics. While there's no surfing competition in the Olympics yet, Team USA is planning for the possibility, which means Tiare will be trained by world-class coaches to be ready for the world stage.
I pushed her on this one wave and she just stood up there.
No way.
And she just disappeared all the way to the beach.
Her dad knew her calling.
After that moment, I knew that she had that uncanny balance.
Tiare first caught a wave in Fiji when she was 3.
Her place in life and time was in the water. Outside, Tiare!
Now Foster Thompson is at Windansea daily, cheering on his little girl, calling out the next set when he sees it.
Here at the beach, just every day you got to get out there, go surfing.
Hard work and discipline to gain wins surfers double her age dream of, and she learned it all in her own backyard at San Diego's surfing sweet spot.
You kind of have to prove yourself here, because to get any waves here you have to be good, because they won't let kooks come out here.
With 4 titles right now, she's caught the eye of several businesses who are sponsoring these moves. Matus Wetsuits, California Pizza Kitchen, Rusty, Spy, Sector 9 all support her success.
I think I'm pretty good for my age.
And it's only the beginning.
I want to one day in the future hold a world title.
The Olympics haven't had surfing yet because waves obviously are so unpredictable, but there is technology similar to what you'd see at these big wave pools that would allow for one consistent wave. There are some reports that say we could soon see surfing in the Olympics. You can bet Tiare and her teammates will be ready. Next,
there's surfing, there's paddleboard yoga, and then there's racing.
New ways on the water, how this now globally competitive sport has evolved, and meet 2 San Diegans who've been in the front seat as paddleboarding gains popularity. Plus,
the appeal of diving definitely comes from the ability to experience a whole new world.
Take it from a longtime instructor, the ocean's pretty cool. A look at the latest technology that's getting more people to dive in.
Coming for you.
And we're flying high. The Torrey Pines Glider Port has been sending people off the cliff for nearly a century. We give it a whirl and meet the men who have taken this sport to all new heights.
Here at Mission Bay on any given day, you're likely to find paddleboarders. It is one of the fastest growing water sports in the world, and there are many different types of boards to choose from. Jillian Gibbrey cruising right in. Tell us about your board.
So I'm on an all-around board made by 404. It's great for sup yoga, it's good for fitness paddling, and also small wave surfing.
And you do all of that really well. And we also have some boards over here. Now here's Ruthie Vessler. So this one's a lot shorter. Tell us about your Riviera.
This board is from Riviera Paddle Surf. It's called the Nug. It's 9 feet 2 inches, and it's good for surfing and cruising.
Okay, and here's one that I haven't personally seen before. Let's hop right over it. It's pointy. What's this one do?
This is a race board. It's 12 feet 6 inches, which is called the stock size. And this particular board is handmade by Ron House.
Nice. And there are so many different events you can actually do with these paddle boards, different types of sports. And we want to show you now how much this sport has evolved.
From a leisurely cruise on the water to the rush of battling while paddling, this sport has no limits.
There's surfing, there's paddleboard yoga, and then there's racing.
Ruthie Vessler went from beginner to pro in 4 years. In fact, the retired pro triathlete was hired as a paddleboarding coach for kids in Mission Bay before she even really knew how to hop on.
I had to tell these kids that I didn't know how to stand a paddleboard, but that I was going to be their coach. And I actually learned with them.
Clearly, she figured it out. Now she's sponsored by Riviera Paddle Surf and is racing dozens of miles, taking charge of whatever the water brings.
I love competition, and I also love being out on the water. For me, it's an adventure every single time I go out on the water.
After enough frigid winter sessions that froze my hair into icicles, I moved to sunny San Diego.
Jillian Gibbrey, a Roxy and Ocean-Minded sponsored athlete, has also been in the front seat as this sport soars.
Definitely didn't think that it would evolve to where it has, or that it would be my full-time job.
Now the lifeguard turned fitness model is a leader in the stand-up paddleboard or sup yoga movement.
You're on this unstable surface, so even something like plank or tabletop is a lot more difficult.
Jillian teaches yoga instructors how to take their practice to the water through her company Paddle Into Fitness.
You have to make sure everything's in alignment and you're engaging your core and firing up all your muscles.
And she races, not just speeding across the ocean, but through the white waters of rivers.
There's flat water racing, ocean racing, river racing. I mean, people are doing this on big waves. Any kind of way you can use this board, any size, any shape, any material that's out there.
Both Jillian and Ruthie, friends in the industry, proud their favorite sport is now such a sensation. What was once an ancient form of fishing has evolved into a modern-day, family-friendly activity and an internationally recognized competitive sport.
Okay, well, I'm strapped onto the Nug here, and we have a pro paddleboarder, so what better time to learn? Ruthie, tell me how it's done.
The first thing you're going to do is put on your leash. And the reason that you have that is for safety. In case it's windy and the board gets blown away from where you are, you're able to retrieve your board.
Okay.
And the next thing you're going to do is stand on the board. So go ahead and with 2 feet stand on the board. Every board has a sweet spot. Generally, I look for the handle. That tends to be the center of the board. And you want to have your feet about hip distance apart. And from there, you can even go a little bit wider for more stability.
Got it. Okay, and then what do you do with this paddle?
So I'm going to hand you your paddle. A lot of people are confused about which way the paddle goes. And typically with these paddles, the logo goes away from you, so towards the front.
Okay, so this will get you your speed.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So the worst that can happen is we will fall in, which
Maybe.
is fine. It feels nice out, no problem. So why not? Let's go give it a whirl. It's hard to get into Warrior 2 when you're wobbly. It was good. I don't know if my mascara's running, but it felt really good once I was paddleboarding. It's just the yoga part that was really hard.
Next,
Stay calm.
let's go under. We dive deep using the latest scuba technology to see what's lurking. And
Acrobatics is basically seeing all the funny, weird things you can do with the wing in the air.
up, up and away, giving paragliding a try as we look into the art of acrobatics as it takes new heights.
Whether you're on the water surfing or in it diving, it's always an adventure in our oceans. It's a sea of exploration, especially when you have the right technology. We're here at IB Divers in La Jolla, where not only do they teach scuba diving classes, but they also have the latest in gadgets. Of course, there's the traditional mask and goggles, so you can actually see anything you want underwater. And they have the fins. You can swim with the seals. And it's always these kind of gadgets that make it a little less intimidating for people to go ahead and jump in.
Most would agree our coastline is gorgeous above water, and when divers take a look beneath, they're hooked. These mysterious creatures awe-inspiring, especially to longtime diver Kyle Stogsdahl.
The appeal of diving definitely comes from the ability to experience a whole new world.
Kyle owns IB Divers. His father started the Imperial Beach Company in 1989. They've taught thousands of people, including Lucas Barham, who became a dive master after 2.5 years. He goes to the bottom weekly, even popping in on some lunch breaks.
Every time I go out, it's like an awesome day.
The latest technology makes scuba smoother. No longer do divers have to lug around all this uncomfortable equipment in awkward wetsuits. Sure, you still need a tank for air, but Lucas here is wearing a helmet that allows him to breathe easier than traditional tubes and mouthpieces.
John to Leader 1. We are in condition to abort the dive due to changing weather.
With helmets on, divers can even talk to each other. We were there as Lucas simply walked right into La Jolla shores, wearing a dry suit over his normal clothes, strolling in with his Converse on. Once he's in, there's all kinds of sea life to be seen, since La Jolla Shores is a protected reserve.
We have giant black sea bass, which are fish that can weigh up to 300 pounds.
Divers also see lobsters here, some as large as Labradors. And yes, there are sharks, but mostly leopard sharks.
Stay calm.
Since Lucas was wearing the helmet, we wanted to chat with him.
You can also hear divers from above the water. This is a surface communication box. Kyle there is holding the transceiver. Now, it's kind of hard to hear in all this surf. It does block a lot of the communication. But if we were on a boat, you would be able to hear Lucas within a 600-foot radius.
Nonetheless, when he surfaced, he had plenty to talk about.
I saw actually like pretty big like lobster.
The popularity of diving is rising so much, IB Divers opened a second store in La Jolla.
Because of advancements, it makes it a lot easier for people to get in and try diving.
And as their curiosity peaks, they want to, well, dive in.
You can learn scuba any time of year. Here at IB Divers, they offer group courses for $350. It takes 2 weekends, and you can become a certified open water scuba diver. Next.
I just remember walking off the edge. I couldn't believe it. My heart was in my throat, and I had butterflies in my stomach.
Sounds scary, so why do it? A look at the brave antics of these acrobats and how they've twisted and turned gliding until it's become a whole new sport. We go agro gliding at Torrey Pines.
And now we are well above the ocean at Torrey Pines Glider Port. You may have seen these gliders soaring across the skies right here. We're just above Black's Beach. Torrey Pines Golf Course is right over there. Just a beautiful scene out here. Now, the glider port's been around since 1928, so for almost a century, people have been walking off that very cliff. I'm going to do that in just a moment with my new buddy, Max Marion. So he is an instructor here. You're also the owner's son. So tell me, Max, how did you get involved in this sport?
Well, my father actually got involved when I was about 10 years old, and I used to come out here and watch him flying all the time, and eventually he just got me started.
Okay, and why this spot? What makes this such a special, unique place?
Well, the topography, it's just the cliffs themselves. We have 320 feet from the top of the cliff down to the bottom. It faces straight west, which is where the winds usually come from. And it's just very smooth, easy flying because we're on the ocean.
Okay, and it's pretty. You can't beat the views.
Oh, it's beautiful out here. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and what you may not know is Max not only an instructor, but he's also part of a team called Happy Acro. So they actually have taken paragliding to whole new heights by doing acrobatics in the sky. Let's take a look at what that means.
Carefully crafted acrobatics. Members of Happy Acro dance across the sky, flying in unison, becoming one with uncertainty.
Nature is unpredictable. The wind can change from moment to moment.
But those are the moments professional paragliders cherish.
When you're flying, you're making a lot of decisions that are going to happen later. It's a bit of a chess game. You're trying to look a few moves ahead. Where am I going to glide to? What's the next bit of lift?
They use pockets of hot air, thermals, and higher elevation wind to twirl, spin, even flip.
Acrobatics is basically seeing all the funny, weird things you can do with the wing in the air.
Adam Fischbach stepped off the edge as early as 10. His father, one of the first people to glide back in the 70s. It was here at the Torrey Pines Glider Port, directly above the mighty and majestic Pacific, where these men first fell in love with flight, becoming tandem instructors and forming their Happy Acro team. Now competitive athletes who turn to the skies for joy.
There's so much dynamic energy to it that people don't really realize. Like you're flying around on a big swing set.
Eye to eye with the birds.
You're not just staying on the ground and watching them fly by, but actually flying with them and kind of following them as they're flying around.
It's almost zen-like. You don't jump, you just walk off the cliff, and the wind picks you up. It's almost whisper quiet, and you are slowly, in my opinion, just gliding over our planet. Hot air that cycles up will bring sounds from the ground up, so you might be 3,000 feet up hearing people talking on the ground. It's incredible.
Matteo Manzari learned paragliding in one day when he bought a Groupon about 2 years ago.
I just remember walking off the edge like I couldn't believe it. I mean, my heart was in my throat, but I had butterflies in my stomach.
Travels to Europe to compete with his team, grateful for that moment he first walked off this cliff. And all they really want is for their sport to take flight.
Okay, now that I know Max has a really good track record, we're going to try to go for it. So tell me how you do this first.
All right, well, you got your helmet on, so that's step number one.
And it matches.
And it matches. Here's your harness. Go ahead and throw your arms through there.
Okay.
There you go. And then let me get you all hooked in here. And plug them in.
Yeah, the straps are important.
Yeah, that's what keeps you held in here. All right, and then just snap this shut for me.
Okay.
And you're ready to go, Netta.
Is that it?
That's it.
But you're coming with me, right?
Yeah, I'm coming with you, don't worry.
Okay.
So now we're going to get the glider set up here. So,
okay.
A few things that I'm actually required to tell you. Paragliders are not FAA certified aircraft. Since they're not, we are not allowed to take passengers just for rides. We fly under an exemption that allows us to do this for instructional purposes.
Okay.
So, you are my student pilot in training for this flight.
Great.
We also are carrying a tandem reserve parachute that I can use in case of emergency. I've been flying for 14 years and never have I once even heard of anybody having to use it. but it's there for our safety, and I can use it if I need to.
And that's a reserve backup in case.
Yeah, it's basically like a big cargo chute. So if something goes wrong, we throw it out there, and we'll come down just like a crate, you know, float down to the ground nice and soft.
No problem. It looks kind of calm. You just walk off, and then you fly. That's it.
Do a quick pre-flight check.
What do you look for here?
So just looking to see that it's not tangled up, you know, looking at the lines, make sure they're all straight. Looking for just anything that in general might look wrong. But yeah, looks all good, so I'm gonna hook myself in. So these are the spreader bars, and basically we are attached to each other and then attached to the glider. Let me get you hooked on this side. If I pull back on you, you'll feel how the glider is going to be pulling you back, right? So you want to lean forward against the pole and walk backwards with it as it pulls you.
Okay, like we'll let it pull us back?
Exactly. Okay. Yeah, don't try to hold your ground because it's a lot stronger than you are. As we run, you'll feel the glider start to lift you. It'll lift you kind of in that motion on both sides. Got it. When we get enough speed going, I'll ask you to sit down. You can just use your hands, kind of push yourself back into the seat and make yourself comfortable.
Okay.
Cool. And then I'll get us in the air the rest of the way.
Okay.